So here we are at Randall Tolpinrud's little getaway in Fairfield, Iowa, which, it's a good place to come and escape to and unplug.
My name is Randall Tolpinrud, and I'm president of the Pax Natura Foundation, Paz con Naturaleza, or Peace with Nature Foundation, centered in Salt Lake City. Well, there are numerous reasons, but one fundamental reason. We want the world to know the challenges that a country faces in trying to protect its own food and agricultural system that is really thousands of years old and is under threat by multinational companies that really want to change the whole structure of the food growing and distribution center in the country of Mexico. So we want to document a group of people who are resisting these powerful corporations, and they are not interested in planting genetically modified crops in the country. They want to continue with their 9,000-year-old maize and milpa cultivation that has proven itself to be a very high nutritious food and a sustainable food source for thousands of years, and the way in which they do it. It's a multi-cropping system as opposed to a monocropping system. And it's all under threat, and it's being forced on the Mexican people and the Mexican government by primarily the United States and multinationals centered in Europe and the US.
Yeah, what drew me to this documentary really is because I think that people really need to know about what the US is doing in regards to Mexico. That they are trying to force Mexico to, one, cultivate GMO corn, and two, to consume it in their food, in their tortillas and so on. And they are using the mechanism of the trade agreement, the USMCA, to try and force Mexico to consume more GMO corn from the United States. Mexico has analyzed that and decided that they do not wish to have that much GMO maize either cultivated or in their food. When I saw, how all these different things line up and the comparison between the two models, I really thought, wow, that is such a story that needs to be told. And we need not to tell just the little, it in parts, but to show how all those things connect up and are a living, vibrant culture in Oaxaca. Something that you can see, something that you can experience, something that you really feel. Food is it's not just about growing something that sustains the body. It's culturally enriching. It's so important. How much time do we spend on it, really, right? How important is it to you every day to eat good food, to have the experience of sharing that good food, to feel that it's good for your body and everything? It's so fundamental. So for all those reasons, I thought, personally, I feel that this is a really important story to tell.
What Monsanto et al. Is doing in Mexico is what they've already done to the United States. They're poisoning. Our country has been poisoned by this method of agriculture. It's very destructive on the environment. It contributes to atmospheric CO2 emissions. Industrial agriculture has a terrible impact on the environment on so many levels. People need to understand, and they don't. If you ask the average American if they know that there is glyphosate in the food they're consuming, in the cereals that their children are eating, they have no idea what's been going on. And what we're finding is that ignorance is very unhealthy. It's very unhealthy and causing a great deal of suffering and cost associated with it. We're trying to wake people up. Here's what they've been doing to you for a long time, since 1994. Here's what they've been doing to you, and it's not good. But they're getting a lot of money for it. But it's not worth the destruction to the environment and to human health and environmental health. Not worth it.
I think understanding that food has such an intimate relationship with your culture that preserving highly nutritious quality food is enriching to culture as well as health, and that really comes down to a quality of life issue. If you want good quality of life, you need the future to have good environments, non-contaminated. You don't want to have to walk around and be breathing in contaminated air, swimming in contaminated lakes, eating contaminated food. That's not quality of life. So this is fundamentally a quality of life issue. We want quality of life for ourselves. We want quality of life for our children, our grandchildren, future generations. Well, that being the case, then we need to influence policy, influence politicians, influence how our food is grown, influence what food we buy and what we put in our body. So ultimately it comes down to choices. And that's the role of a documentary. That's the role of bringing these stories out, because it changes people's choices.
Yeah, that's everything. It's the choices that we're making.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it'd be nice, hopefully people will see that we tell the corporations what we want.
Yeah.
We're in charge here ultimately.
Right, exactly. At the moment, the corporations, I mean, bless those people. I don't want to tar everyone with the same brush, as we might say in quaint little England, Britain, where I come from. But I do think there's an appalling kind of lack of concern from so many of the larger companies. There's such a concentration of power in a small number of really big companies, and I don't think at the end of the day their concern is primarily with the effects health-wise of their products.
We're trying to point the way to a better future. And so it's rather than feeling jaded, it's an opportunity to say, hey, come on, join us and go to work in this field. I have a son who's really excellent at agroecology and organic agriculture. A 20-year study by the United Nations determined that's the only sustainable way to feed a human population is small-scale organic farming. And the Manda group and the farmers, the finca owners in southern Mexico have been doing it for 9,000 years. They know it's sustainable. And so it's an inspiration. We have a direction. We know what we need to do now. We need to get away from this garbage that they're trying to foist on us and go back to old traditional ways of doing agriculture that actually brings life back to the soil. Because the soils become dead after all the poison that's been put on them. And the soils are not productive. And that's a big, huge problem with that particular methodology. It poisons the earth. And to bring the earth back, farmers are beginning to get it. They're beginning to see what's happening to their land, to their soils, to their crops and things. They're beginning to see, and they're beginning to react themselves. And they want to move to a more organic and more sustainable way of farming. And this example in Mexico, we want people to see, yes, these people have been doing it for thousands of years. Look at what they're doing and replicate it. Get involved. That's our message to people, I think. Okay.